with a price revealed for Sasha Banks' appearances and more. This is Wrestling Hub. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report for July 15th. Speaking to ET about his daughter becoming a WWE superstar, The Rock noted how happy he is, saying she's fourth generation. She's made history. Very, very proud of her. She is fiercely independent. It's very important to her to make her own way, blaze her own trail, blaze her own path. She doesn't come to me looking for a lot, which I respect that, and I'm here watching and supporting. Today's video is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. Raid's available on PC and the game's got a ton of champions, over 600 now. All of those champions come from unique factions, each with their own history in the world of Teleria. One of the best factions in the game is the High Elves. Their backstory is pretty awesome. Their homeland, Aravia, has been around for thousands of years, surviving the fall of the Lizardman Empire, helped by the humans form into civilizations, and defeated the orcs when they formed a huge horde and attacked the continent. But things got twisted when Siroth, the Lord of Darkness, convinced a bunch of elves to go evil and attack the kingdom. The Civil War nearly ended the elves, but Aravia survived, rebuilt, and now it's stronger than ever. Absolutely awesome. There's a ton happening in Raid this month. They're bringing out 5 badass looking new champions. On top of that, Raid's running a huge series of Summer Splash events for the whole month, where you can get your hands on some incredible skins for everybody's favorite dwarf, Trunda. Raid's also currently running a special Deliana Chase event, where all new and existing players can get a brand new legendary champion from the High Elves faction. All you have to do is log in and play Raid for 7 days between now and July 28th. And all new players, listen up. Once you're in the game, just enter promo code MyDeliana to get 50 XP brews to max your legendary hero Deliana to level 50, as well as a ton of silver. Promo code is available till July 20th. There's never been a better time to get started. New players, use my link or scan the QR code right here and get a free starter pack worth almost $30, a free champion, Aina, and also this cool in-game loot. Talking about the AEW All-Atlantic title on his podcast, Jim Ross revealed that he did not get the point of the belt. I didn't understand that, but it doesn't matter what I understand. I'm not against it, but did we need it? I don't know that we needed it, but I also don't know how big of an asset it's going to be internationally for us. I know that we're going to go places, like Pac is defending that title now in the UK, I get it all the time. When are you guys coming to England? When are you going to do a pay-per-view? When are you going to do this? Well, when we come to England, you can bet your ass it's going to be big. Tony's got great business contracts there. When speaking to NBC Sports Boston, Madcap Moss touched on comparisons between him and Batista and mentioned how he is inspired by him. That is a goal of mine. When you look at a guy like Batista, I think there are a lot of similarities. I want to humbly point out those similarities because I think he's one of the best ever, and of course I would take the career he had in a heartbeat. He's an absolute legend. Everything he's been able to do. When you look at those types of guys that have been able to carry the company in that top spot and be in the main event, that is something I think I can do, and the way you look at how those guys stood out, they did everything well. It wasn't just one thing, and that's something I can really focus on, is just all the little things, and all those little things add up to being the big thing. During an interview with Wrestling Inc., AEW star Ricky Starks was asked about having former WWE talent in the company and not putting a chip on his shoulder. Starks replied, "No, not at all. I don't believe in having a chip on my shoulder because that makes me a whiny little bitch. But what I do believe in is these people who come in the attitude of a higher than and we are less than, you get what I'm saying? I think it should be noted that there's a reason those people don't work there anymore, and we should look at the facts of why. So when they get in that ring and they stand across the ring from me or Hobbs, we have proven to people, by contrast, exactly what they left or why they got kicked out or whatever happened. We have proven that me and Hobbs, the people who've been here through the pandemic, man, who came in around the same time, we've proved exactly that me and Hobbs are better, if not levels. I mean levels above these guys. I don't care who you are, and you can put this in the headlines of the dirt sheets. I don't give a damn who you are. You can't come in here and act like you're way better than me or Hobbs. It ain't gonna happen, Jack. Not as long as I got breath in my lungs. On WWE's The Bump, Shawn Michaels talked about his role as a coach for NXT, saying, "It's so much more meaningful to me outside of the ring. Again, I got a great deal of joy from performing in my day. Working with these young men and women, I guess the biggest thing is appreciating their trust, and I don't want to mess that up. I can get emotional about that because they come in here, they're not sure, they're hungry, they want to know the way to get to WrestleMania. I take that trust so incredibly seriously. I don't want to betray that. I love coming here to work. It is not hard for me to do this job. I'm thankful I have a family that understands they have to share me with the other love of my life, and that is NXT. The thing is, all the men and women who come through this place, they're ready, they're willing, and again, you want to honor that and do the best job for them. I'm humbled by that honesty, but I will also take that so incredibly seriously. I want for them, when they leave here, to have their experience with me to be something they look back on and to be something they're pleased about. That's what I hope we're doing here." Speaking of running things on NXT, Triple H's status for the brand was noted in the Wrestling Observer newsletter, with it said that it appears that when Paul Levesque was talking to the folks at NXT and said he was back, and nobody knew what that meant, it appeared just to mean he's back working in the office. He has not been doing anything direct with NXT, which is still being run by Shawn Michaels with a small creative staff for television. Levesque has not been at the Tuesday night tapings. While Raw is set to be a TV14 program on the 18th going forward, Fightful is reporting that much might not change for the show. For those expecting a significant content adjustment might end up being disappointed. While NXT has racier content regularly, it's still rated TV PG, and the content that airs is still up to the creator itself. Unlike MPAA for movies or ESRB for video games, cable television shows aren't required to meet a certain standard in order to retain TV PG status or move to TV14 status. For instance, WWE could have very well self-rated WWE Raw at TV PG during the Attitude Era with so oversight ramifications. However, input from the network and sponsors about the content is always taken into effect. The Observer pointed out that this TV14 move for Raw is not a done deal. Andrew Zarian reported that Raw will change from TV PG to TV14 starting with the July 18th show. There was a memo sent out at the USA Network saying that, but apparently the memo was sent out early and the date itself of the change is not finalized. WWE did not confirm the story at press time. Another source in the company said that this looks to be a USA decision and not a WWE decision. The fact it came from a USA internal memo would also indicate that. I don't think it would be blood, since they have been publicly dead set against that, although they had been in the past and changed due to competition having blood in the 90s. I strongly don't see them going back to the demeaning to women's storylines and leaving them in their underwear like in the Boom period. I absolutely could see them following AEW with more dirty language. In particular, USA was said to be accepting Lesnar using the word kicking at just past 8 p.m. this week when they got the script. But then when Lesnar actually said the word, because they were aware in advance, they did a sound edit of the word. We don't know if this had to do with that or not, but the timing is notable, and a sound edit of something that was in the script and approved is also notable. Reacting to those unhappy with her title reign, SmackDown Women's Champion Liv Morgan told Corey Graves on After the Belt, "You can have the most perfect painting, the most perfect drawing, the most perfect meal, be the most perfect human in the world, and someone's not going to like it, you know? I enjoy the good just as much as I enjoy the bad. It's just something that luckily has never bothered me. I don't know. Everyone has their opinion and everyone's entitled to their own opinion. It's kind of like I feel what you think about me is none of my business. If you love me, if you hate me, I can only do what I feel is right. That's something that I've kind of done my whole career. I've just tried to stay as true to me as I possibly could." Despite it being reported that Io Shirai might not re-sign with WWE, it's been noted by The Observer that she is looking for a main roster contract. Io Shirai on Twitter, in response to last week's issue, just wrote rumors regarding her not signing a new contract and potentially leaving. Those at NXT said last week that at the time Shirai had not signed a new contract that had been offered. They believe she was returning to Japan and Stardom now that Stardom has stronger financial backing from Bushiroad. Those close to Stardom did not indicate she was coming back, although did believe she would be moving back back to Japan if she wasn't on the main roster. As noted, if she lets her contract expire without renewing, she could work anywhere, whether it be Japan or the US, immediately. Still, she disputed this report. She had been injured and not been used in months, but has been back training at the PC lately. Those who know her from Japan said she went to WWE with the goal of making the main roster and believed she would stay with a main roster deal. We haven't heard about her signing a new deal this week after checking, but there is an offer on the table and her current deal hasn't expired yet. And at this point, she really should be on the main roster as she's better than most on it right now. During a recent WWE live event, Liv Morgan can be seen hitting Natalya with her finisher and picking up a pinfall victory, which led to Natty no-selling the move to point and say something to Liv. Natalya had responded to this criticism in a now-deleted tweet. Ringside News is now reporting that I was told Natalya is a big problem backstage with producers and writers. There is a lot more to the story about her no-selling Liv Morgan's finisher at that recent WWE live event as well. This is an issue that was described as her harassing writers about looking like a jobber. It was even said by a tenured member of the creative team that Natalya was a serious problem backstage last Friday, so bad that several producers and writers were talking about whether they go straight to Vince McMahon, observe Portugal, and go to Bruce Pritchard. They even considered taking the issue to TJ Wilson, Natalya's husband, as a courtesy, and see if he can get involved since she's being unprofessional and harassing the writers and producers. Ringside News was additionally told that Natalya no-selling Liv's finisher was unprofessional and got squashed quickly because Natty probably knew she exposed her rotten attitude with that moment that was caught on tape. With him unlikely to return to action anytime soon due to injury, Adam Cole is undergoing therapy, but will not have a procedure, as the Observer noted. Cole is opting to not have surgery on his torn labrum. He's doing therapy for it. The time frame for his return is based more on the recovery from the concussion. We're told he is faring better in that regard. With Sasha Banks announced for her first non-WWE public appearance since her walkout on Raw with Naomi, Fightful has revealed how much she is charging. We're told that Varnado's asking price was $30,000 based on the opportunity, which a promoter said was exactly as expected, elaborating that her demand should be high because she left on her own terms, has been a part of the convention scene, and has a fan base willing to support her. It was mentioned that she's one of the most just-off-TV talent they've been quoted a price for, and it was comparable to Sting. The only talent they told us were more expensive were Ric Flair, Goldberg, Shawn Michaels, and Hulk Hogan. That same promoter said they were more than happy to book her at that rate, and they know they'd make their money back on it. Apparently, the writing team for Monday Night Raw got put on blast by Vince McMahon, specifically the two lead writers for the show, as Ringside News wrote. This was the mass distribution of the show. Vince wrote a reply to all note, which means everyone gets the show, got Vince's reply, about how uninspiring the show was, and how we, meaning the Raw team, need to do better. This was a total burial of Backstrom and Ward. Talking about if Vince McMahon will leave WWE or not, the Wrestling Observer noted that, from the outside, you would read the article and think they have no choice but to make a change. But there is no indication at all that will happen, and there doesn't appear to be any real pressure for it to happen. With it being teased that Dominik Mysterio could turn on his father, the Wrestling Observer mentioned that for the July 25th Raw in MSG, Riddle and Street Profits versus Reigns and Uso is the announced main event. That doesn't mean it will happen, but in MSG, it's probably more likely than another arena. The show is also being pushed as the 20th anniversary of Rey Mysterio in WWE. It feels like if they are going to do the Dominik turn, and it's certainly being teased hard, this ceremony would be an idea of where to do it. Plus, Vince McMahon has a special affinity for MSG, so one would expect a show with more major stories coming out of it, and for it to be pushed much harder than usual to draw a bigger rating. In an injury update on Busted Open Radio, Cody Rhodes revealed that his doctors aren't giving him a timeline for his recovery. There's a lot of people who have had knee injuries, back injuries, sometimes spinal and neck. When it comes to your pec, it's a really strange injury. They tied that sucker back to your bicep. I had Dr. Dugas, he's the best in the world to do it. The problem with him doing it is he knows me and they're being very coy. I was told the last time I was there for my checkup, after PT they're not going to give me a timeline just yet for when I'm going to be back because they are afraid that if they give me that timeline I'm going to try and jump it by a month or two. The surgery was really, I almost hemorrhaged in the surgery because there was so much blood. People have seen the picture of it in the match. It was pretty gnarly. And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.